Eddie Hall, one of the strongest men who has ever lived, just had his real one-on-one MMA debut. He had a handicap match between two guys before, but this was his first true MMA fight in the super heavyweight division against a KSW veteran and multiple-time world's strongest man, Mariusz Pudzianowski. And Eddie Hall absolutely destroyed him in 30 seconds. Tom Aspinall must be proud since he's trained with Eddie Hall multiple times, is arguably the best heavyweight in the world right now, or at least one of them. Eddie Hall came out in the fight with a good stance. For his first fight ever, he didn't detour away from his stance like a lot of other new MMA fighters would. He galloped forward, so instead of a traditional step forward to walk into the opponent, he actually hopped forward in a galloping motion, bringing his rear foot forward first. This is an indicator that he's going to plant himself for a big punch, sitting on it with all of his power. He threw a classic jab straight. Tom Aspinall is probably really happy seeing him throw that, as that's the main combo Tom uses to knock everybody out. Now, of course, Eddie Hall is not going to have the same kind of speed and athleticism as Tom Aspinall, but the force behind his punches is absolutely ridiculous. 334 pounds of force. There's not a lot of snap the way he throws it, but he has good extension with the jab to measure for his right hand. You see Pudzianowski throw his own jab forward to intercept the forward movement of Eddie Hall, but as Hall is throwing the right hand, there's sometimes a natural head movement toward the left, which is following the leverage of the punch. Eddie Hall wraps around the arm of Pudzianowski with his own right and clobbers him with that punch, shaking him up. He was already stunned from the very first punch that landed in the fight. Eddie Hall again did kind of the same thing. Threw a jab straight. The jab grazed Pudzianowski and the right hand got ducked under. But even though Hall's punch missed, he was still in a very good position, colliding with a smaller opponent. That's where he was able to use his insane strength and show everybody why you don't grapple with Eddie Hall. Pudzianowski got into the clinch. He had a left underhook trying to control Eddie Hall. This is where Hall showed some of his inexperience. He was just throwing punches, relying on his brute strength to finish the fight. Eddie Hall was swarming Pudzianowski with everything he had. He landed maybe the shortest left hook of all time, and the punch had so much force that it knocked Pudzianowski off balance. Even though Pudzianowski was supposed to have control in the clinch, he had double underhooks trying to body lock Eddie Hall, which is very tough to do because of how wide Eddie is. That punch, which shouldn't have been that powerful, given how short it was, still knocked his opponent off balance. Insane. Pudzianowski leaned to his left, trying to get his balance, and Eddie Hall started hitting the back of his head multiple times, which drew Pudzianowski. The referee should have stepped in there because every punch from Eddie Hall is lethal. Even one shot to the back of the head from a guy who weighs 334 pounds and is one of the strongest men in the world could do serious damage. Then Eddie Hall tried to follow up with a ground and pound shot. He missed the punch, it seemed, and lost his balance, which allowed Pudzianowski to get an opening for a double leg takedown. He drove forward, but Eddie Hall threw in a left overhook, used that whizzer, and literally threw his opponent across the cage. Mind you, the fighter he was going up against weighed 267 pounds and is also one of the strongest men in the world. And Eddie threw him across the cage and finished the fight with ground and pound afterward. There were 3 shots to the back of the head, one of them as Pudzianowski was rotating, but the other 2 were blatantly to the back of the head. The thing is, Eddie Hall is still new to MMA, so it should have been on the referee to step in and stop him from doing that. Multiple shots to the back of the head from a guy like this are very dangerous to his opponent. But the fight was finished in less than 30 seconds. I don't know if the UFC would ever sign Eddie Hall to fight, but I don't think Eddie Hall wants to make a professional run in the UFC. Maybe a one-off fight like against Tai Tuivasa or something. A super heavyweight fight. Great win for Eddie Hall. The guy hits hard. He's insanely strong. The way he threw Pudzianowski with that whizzer was crazy. The way he threw him, you would think Pudzianowski weighed like 200 pounds or something. Absolutely ridiculous, man. Hopefully he has some more fights. Hopefully they can find some other super heavyweights to fight him. That would be really cool. And the more training he gets with Tom Aspinall and his coaches, the better he's only going to get, if he is focused on trying to get better, of course. I don't know if that's going to be his last fight. I don't know if it's just something he wanted to try out. He's had a boxing fight with Hafthor Bjornsson. Now he has an MMA fight with Mariusz Pudzianowski. I don't know if next is grappling or whatever it is, but it's always fun to see Eddie Hall try out these combat sports as the specimen that he is. You don't often see a lot of guys that big and strong compete in combat sports.